Welcome to Villa Park for the second leg of this UEFA Europa League round of 16 tie, where Villa hold a narrow 1-0 lead after Ollie Watkins' header last week, ensuring Unai Emery's side returned to B6 with an advantage. We'll bring you the build-up and the team news ahead of another huge European night here, where we are live from Villa Park under the lights, a place in the Europa League quarter-finals at stake. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Villa Park. A fine spring evening and hopefully another special European night in store. Delighted to have three brilliant guests alongside me. Welcome along Alan McAnally, Lee Hendry, and Elmo is on the end there too. Good evening to you. How are we? Or how are we feeling ahead of this one, Elmo?
Yeah, all good, thank you. Feeling good after the first leg. It was a great result away from home. We should have been more than one. You know, Oli scored the brilliant header, was a clever finish from him, but he should have scored another one. He went one-on-one with the goal, but it was a great save. And get a clean sheet away from home. We played them a couple of years ago, and they were a very difficult team to play against. So hopefully, a good night here at Villa Park. We know what's a European night here at Villa Park with the fans. So we need the fans behind the team today, and we need to start well. So hopefully, we can get through today.
It's a big opportunity, isn't it, Lee, given that we've got back-to-back home games Sunday as well. And given domestic form hasn't been where we want it to be, just of late, this feels huge for so many reasons, not just the fact there's a quarter-final waiting.
Yeah, listen, I think, you have to put the domestic sort of side of it, put aside, don't you, for tonight, because we know what's at stake. We've got the advantage, obviously, with the goal in the first leg. But, yes, I mean, even if you want to go down the domestic route where you feel that, results haven't gone great for us, but still we're sitting in fourth in the table, along with some really, really big fixtures coming up. So just alluding to tonight's game, how important it is to get over the line, give us confidence of going into that game the weekend against West Ham, and then, that sort of confidence sort of regains itself and finds itself. And, the next 5-6 games, I think they're all winnable games if we can get that confidence back to where we are, because I think having the likes of McGinn back, who gives everyone a lift, you'd be surprised just what one player does just to give someone that little bit of inspiration, that little bit of something different, and give the manager something to go by. So, yeah, I mean, listen, it's a massive night for so many reasons. Obviously, silverware, and obviously giving us that confidence going into league form.
And Unai Emery is such an expert at this competition, isn't he? Just have the week wait between these legs now, but he knows how to manage things in that gap.
Yeah, I think Lee's spot on. But and incidentally, I would mention the domestic form that we've been in, because it should be a different football player that's in the dressing room tonight, because we can park that till Sunday. This will be the third consecutive quarter-finals of a European competition if we can get there tonight. It's a big stick for us as a football club, and as people looking to Villa Park tonight to go, I see, Villa won again in Europe. Unai Emery can't be beaten. There's something behind that, as though whatever he's done, and he's won it. What has he done it? 4 times, 5 times, whatever he's done it. 4 times. You're like, well, is there any point playing Aston Villa? Because we're going to win it. We're going to win it.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But in terms of the way we've been playing, and I think Elmo's right, but I think we've come away from France a little disappointed. It was only just one. Now, they're not the same team, to be fair, that we beat on pens in the Conference League, whatever it was, a couple of years ago, 3 years ago or something. So they're a different team. They're not as strong. And you could say that we're obviously not as strong with some of the players we have missing, but still, Aston Villa with the team we've got, I think we proved in France, and I think the lads will prove tonight that we're better than them, and we should win the game tonight.
Yeah, Elmo, how do you think they look back on that first leg tie and how it panned out? You sound like you're a bit frustrated that we didn't take that second chance. It was a big second chance from Ollie, but he has that goal now, so hopefully that will give him some confidence tonight.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you got a great result. You win in 1-0, and then you clean sheet as well. And I thought, some of the lads were absolutely outstanding, especially Bogard. He defended very well, and when he needed to attack, he was back in the winger very well. And Douglas Luiz played his best game since he came back. He was absolutely outstanding in the midfield, controlling everything. So, like Lee said, when you got your captain back, it's a big spirit for everyone. It's a big boost for the manager, for the players, for the fans. You saw John when he came on, last 20-25 minutes in that game. He was the energy in the midfield. This is what he brings to the team, and he was absolutely outstanding against Man United. In the first hour, and the manager protected him, taking him off, and because he knows tonight is a big night for us. We spoke about the manager. He's special in this competition. He knows exactly what he's doing, rotating players. I know our domestic form is not at the best at the moment, but any team, we've been there in the start of the season. We had a slow start, and we're getting through it. So I think today is going to be a start of finishing the season in high, because we need that Champions League spot for the club. Financially, we needed, and tonight is a big night for us to get to the quarter-final in this competition, because we've been there before in the Champions League. We played against big clubs. All the clubs came here last year. They had a very difficult time. Anyone, even the one who won it, PSG came here, and then they know it was very difficult for them. And Lille coming here tonight, we had a meeting earlier with the Lille board, and then they know it's going to be a very difficult night for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, let's just remind ourselves how it played out a week ago then in Lille.
Unai Emery's latest pursuit of European glory. His side superb, you'd have to say, in the league phase. 7 wins out of 8. Now for the jeopardy of knockout football and a fairly familiar foe. He's done really well there, Onana. Rogers, Watkins peels off to the right. This is Onana, Watkins wants it. Oh, and he almost got it as well. Really good football from Villa, and Mandy was there for Lille. In towards Olivier Giroud. Just couldn't get the power, but it was offside. Oh, there could be a chance here for Watkins! And he's taken that chance! Great header from Ollie Watkins!
Waiting for someone to arrive on the near side, but Villa safely see it out for a halfway lead. Very professional job from Aston Villa.
Yeah, at the end, Lee, the commentator said a professional job. I think that summed it up, really, didn't it? And nothing wrong with coming away with a clean sheet, a goal to take back to Villa Park, and the advantage this evening.
Yeah, because do you know what? I think going into the fixture, I don't know, we've touched about the league form, but I think a lot of people were feeling a little bit uncomfortable, wasn't they? And going into that fixture, you always have that doubt in your mind. I think even as supporters, as ex-players, you start to think, when's that next result coming from? So that is a massive comment in a professional performance. I mean, it could have ended up being a couple more, and we could have had a comfortable evening. But do you know something? Going away from home in that sort of form that we've been in, and coming away with a victory, particularly knowing what's at stake. And let's be quite honest, results went for us in the league, but you have to start concentrating on what's so important for the football club, and that's winning silverware this season. And we've got a great manager that can certainly do that. But you have to say what a platform that was to go and get a result away from home, where I think a lot of people were very doubtful that we would get anything, and we've come away with
It's the first
victory.
time this season there's probably been a doubt about Aston Villa actually competing, particularly in Europe, and we know how good we've talked about Unai Emery being brilliant at organising, knowing the opposition, etc., and going there. But the biggest thing was a clean sheet. We haven't kept a clean sheet for quite a long time, and it's a big important thing. Naturally, we nick a goal. It was brilliant to see him. We're laughing about it. Buendia winning a header. That's exactly what we need to be doing. We need to be competing, even if somebody doesn't think, well, he can't beat me in the air, and he jumps that little bit higher, wins the header, and Ollie Watkins reacts first. So that kind of thing is important, and it'll be important tonight in the first 20 minutes. The first goal tonight is enough to win us the tie tonight, because if we start really quickly and put them under proper pressure, I think they'll be like, yeah, Villa are far too good for us, and I think that might just be it. But we need to start really positively tonight.
The boys mentioned Ollie Watkins' goal there, Elmo. I mean, how big was that for him personally? Because he has come in for some criticism this season. He said in an interview recently that he set his bar so high, he thinks that's partly why.
Yeah, it was very important for Oli as a striker, and Alan knows that when you come through a spell, you don't score, your confidence will go a little bit down. But when the manager always believe in him, always picking him, that shows you how important he is for the team. Even if he's not scoring, the work he does, the pressing high, the running behind and everything he does, it's absolutely outstanding. Sometimes, you go through a spell, but you need that confidence from the manager first and from the players around you, and he has... he's been absolutely fantastic for this football club, and he has now a big competition with Tommy. Tommy, since he came, he scored a couple of goals, playing absolutely fantastic. So when you're a manager, have some two good players, playing up front, it's a good competition for the team. It's very important for him to get a goal, and I was absolutely disappointed he didn't score the second one, because
thought he might go on and score that and have confidence.
As a striker, this is like bread and butter for you. You should have scored that, but he scored. He got his confidence. He's trying so hard for the team. So yeah, I was so happy for Oli. Hopefully tonight, if he starts tonight, he get another goal and get us through it.
That header though it's really interesting, this technique to get it over the keeper, and that awareness, Alan.
But what you have to remember is, his reaction to Buendia winning the header, he reacts before the defender does. And obviously, as the ball's coming over, you need to make sure those neck muscles are nice and good to get it up and over the goalkeeper. But his timing and everything was absolutely brilliant. And when you're talking about, he was in a little bit of a barren spell. I don't think you and I ever went through a barren spell. I never scored. There was one game I didn't score for 20 minutes, and I asked the manager to take me off.
I knew this was building up to something, by the way.
And by the way, and it's good we can laugh about it, but the goal was important for Ollie, obviously, hugely important for the team, and we're talking about, we're disappointed we didn't get another one to not put the game to bed, because, hey, by the way, don't worry about it. This team were beaten 1-0 by Red Star Belgrade in the previous round, and went to Belgrade and beat them 2-0.
Yeah.
So the tie's not over yet by any manner of means. I'm just saying we have an opportunity tonight, I think, to put even more doubt in their minds by starting the way we start games when someone looks at us and go, the way we started against Chelsea.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
We were really good. We took the lead, etc., etc. And then obviously with VAR and all that, I'm not getting into all that, the whole thing was an absolute disaster. But if we can start tonight in a competition that our manager loves to be in, and will be meticulously speaking about the opposition and everybody knowing their jobs, that's why I think we'll have too much for them tonight.
Just gives an insight as well, maybe as a striker, how Ollie might have been feeling recently, waiting for that goal, and how big opportunity this could be if he starts tonight to push on and get another.
It'd be hurting. You always do as a striker. Trust me, everything you do.
That's your currency, isn't it? That's what you get judged on.
You put your head on the sleep. You put your head on the pillow, you go to sleep, you think about scoring a goal. You go and buy a pint of milk and a loaf of bread, you think about scoring a goal. You think about the opposition. You think about it all the time. All the time. But it has to be positive thoughts. You can't have doubt. You can't have doubt. Your touch has to be good. If the first touch is bad, the second touch is better. Because sometimes as a striker, it's not all about, scoring goals is fantastic, but there's another job to do for the team. And the manager's always spoken highly about Ollie, about his work rate. And I watch him all the time. I watch him all the time because I think, I'm like, is he looking to try and get it? Is he trying to go behind the defender? Is he thinking about coming out and coming back in? I think he does all that. But we need to use him more. We need to get the ball in the box, and we need to make them defend and give him an opportunity to become the striker that we know he is. Genuinely. And I don't think... he's had a bit of criticism, and I've defended him constantly, because it's not easy sometimes when you're playing in a team that's maybe not full of confidence, but yet he was the one that reacted first to get the goal in Lille. That tells you a lot about Ollie Watkins.
Michelle, I mean, just off the back of that with Ollie, I just think that we play a different system to what we have done over previous seasons. Yep. We've utilised wide players so much, and Ollie's been dependent on service, and that's where, if you look at our percentage of goals this season, they've come from outside the box. Yep. So that does tell a bit of a story, and Al's right, people automatically judge Ollie Watkins because he's not scoring goals. Yes, he's a centre forward. Yes, that's what he's paid for and that's what he should be doing. But it's not always the case. Sometimes you have to make them runs. You have to bring players out of spaces for other players to take opportunities on. And that's where I feel that the criticism that he gets, I'm with Al. I still think he does, and he contributes an awful lot to the football team because of the spaces he gets in his work ethic. And that's why the manager sticks with him. You know, it's quite easy for him to go, right, Tammy, there you go, there's you. He knows why he plays Ollie Watkins because he knows what he gets exactly out of him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think the fans adore Ollie Watkins.
You know, how long
I think they absolutely love him.
How long he's been at the club, you know. He's been here for so long, and everyone knows how good he is. But sometimes as a striker you go through a spell, but the work rate he gives to the team, that's why the manager picks him every time. So he's so important to the team. And to be fair, you know, I agree with Lee, what he said about the system we play now, the white players stick inside and that service and that. But, you know, he always run behind. He always looking for the ball. When he gets it, he's always, you know, making the runs. He always creating chances for himself. So I think Ole is very important for the team. And the goal he scored against Lille gives him more confidence. You see him against Man United, he was working his socks off. Absolutely was outstanding. But he didn't get that, you know, the service he wanted as a striker, you know. Maybe one chance in the game, maybe it's not enough for him, but he will get that tonight. If he starts tonight, he will get more chances. So hopefully he can score tonight and get more confidence before West Ham on Sunday.
You remember the goal we got, Lille? It comes from Konza playing that long one. He's not necessarily looking for...
Like a quarterback pass that was, wasn't it?
Exactly.
In NFL.
He's not necessarily looking for Buendia to win the header. He's trying to put it beyond the centre-backs. I think we do that tonight. It'll be interesting. I mean, they're not going to play a high line, are they?
I wouldn't have said to not here. No.
So
they'll sit quite deep, won't they? From what I've read, and they like to play wide.
So that ball then, hopefully, Ezri can come almost 10 yards a little further and look still to put it in behind the fullbacks and get them turning. I speak about it all the time, and we've seen about, 5, 6, 7, 8 goals in the last... certainly the weekend and Tuesday, Wednesday in the Champions League, where that long one over the top catches everybody.
It's becoming fashionable again, Alan. Who would have known? We don't see that so much.
If you don't get the ball where Elmo would be looking for the ball on the touchline thinking, I'll take it and I'll get it in. If we can get it in behind the fullbacks and he knows it's coming, he can start and get us in there and get them turning. And what they're going to do, give you a free kick deep in the third, give you a corner, pass it back to the goalie, panic ensues.
But it's not the style of the play we play. You know, we always build up from the back. We go through the midfield.
That's what I mean. It's always a surprise that Konsa pinged it.
When Konsa decided to play that ball, you know, especially to Buendia, he's not the best at winning headers, but you know, it came through and it went for a goal. Sometimes you have to mix it up. It's not every time you have to go through the midfield. You have to go through your full backs and that. You try to find the space between, you know, the midfield and the back four. Sometimes you have to go long, you have to go behind, you know, so you have to mix it a little bit, and then we mix it a little bit and we score the goal. So we have to try that tonight as well.
And it's big, isn't it, having the second leg here? We knew that then from the group stage that was guaranteed this round and next round and through. So it's going to be a big advantage having the Villa crowd.
Oh yeah, 100%. It is, and you know, we talk about these European evenings, that they're special evenings, and tonight will be again. You know, the fans know what's at stake. The fans know that they've got to be that 12th man. You know, and that's so important here, and that'll be another thing is, you know, they'll come here, they'll look at the stadium and they'll think, what a fabulous stadium, but as Al said, you know, I think you start the game well, it gets everyone off their seats, it gets everyone believing that they're going to go and get a result. And I do believe tonight, if we can put a real firm performance together and one where we're scoring goals and we look like we've got that energy back, I do think it's just going to go into the weekend's game. I really do, against West Ham, and that's going to be so important that we really achieve it tonight and we start so brightly, because I think we do. We storm away tonight. I really do feel that that's going to happen.
Okay, well, I'm liking the positive thoughts, positive vibes so far. I'm also a bit nervous of these sprinklers. So tell you what we'll do is we will hear from Unai Emery, who was speaking ahead of this game in his press conference. Let's hear what he had to say.
I respect a lot Lille, and 3 years ago we played here in Conference League at home the first leg, and we won 2-1, but we struggled a lot, and they played a fantastic game. And now with Bruno Genesio, they are being so competitive, and it's experienced teams with young players but very huge potential players, and the coach is very experienced coach, and they have some players as well in the squad like André, a fantastic player, Meunier, fantastic player with a lot of experiences in Europe in the highest level. And in the league, they are really being fantastic. They are now, after the last matches they won as well away against Rennes, they are really being fantastic in the top position. We arrived here 3.5 years ago. Was a dream. Was a dream. And was something in that moment, wow, so difficult to think or to set it like something we were achieving it in the period time we are so quick. And how we are being consistent in Premier League, being fourth, even lost in the last 3 matches, we are fourth in the league, was a huge dream 3 years ago. I am so happy how we are performing, how we are competing, how difficult we are facing, and sometimes achieving the good results, sometimes not. But overall, I am enjoying each good moment and each bad moment. The most important is how we can get our performance collectively, but some individual players as well, like John McGinn, can add a little bit something special, especially in Villa Park.
A bit like you, Lee, Unai was. I mean, I worry if you were the manager of Aston Villa, we'd have some problems. So a bit like Unai Emery was saying there about being fourth in the league and what the team's achieving right now. Just keen to remind people of that.
Well, you've got to remind people about it. And listen, the table doesn't lie. And listen, the form guide doesn't lie. And you know, that's the season we've kind of had. The start of the season, it took us 5 games to really get out the traps, and from then on we were outstanding. You know, we went on a fabulous run where we were winning games relentlessly. I felt that we were turning up to home games, away games, and I felt that we were going to win. That was just the confidence that the team was oozing. This is a problem now, is that you find it in the Premier League, and you find it when you're playing in cup competitions, is that it's competitive. You know, some of the teams you're coming up against, whether it's domestic, whether it's European, you know, all these teams want to be on the main stage, and that's where we want to be. And I do, and I've said it from day dot, I think we've massively overachieved this season. I really do.
Why do you say that? Do you say that because of squad depth or injuries?
Lots of things. I put it down to not being able to spend money in the window at the start, where we haven't been able to sort of build on the squad. If you look at the squad that Unai Emery's had, he hasn't really brought loads of players into because he hasn't been able to, and that's been the frustrating thing. But what he's done, he's got the best out of that squad, and I'm not saying they're bad players at all. We've got a great squad, but when you want to go and take that next step up the ladder, that's when you need to bring in more quality, more light for light, that you can change things over. Not ones who are just going to, you know, round pegs in square holes or whatever you say. But and that's the thing is
square pegs in round holes. I'm sorry, I couldn't let that one
go. It was right. It was right the first time.
Yeah, was it? Well, anyway, yeah, that's my theory anyway. But no, I just think that, and that's why the manager's saying we're sitting fourth in the table. We've got 7-8 games left, is it? 7 games left. And you have to say that we're in an absolute unbelievable position. A bit
Given
like
the start
last
of the season as well.
Yes, and a bit like last season to a certain way, is that, you know, we could still finish in the top 4. There's no doubt we could.
Or top 5.
Yeah, top 5, because there's an opportunity there. But also, we're in a competition where we could end up being in the Champions League anyway. I mean, the thing is, everyone's disappointed because we've been in the top 3, the top 4 for quite some time now, and that's the disappointment.
It wasn't the norm, though.
No.
And then, you know, Lee, sometimes people forget, you know, when you got injuries and big injuries like, you know, the 3 in the midfield, you're talking about Kamara, Tielemans and John McGinn.
Huge.
In the very difficult time when you have a lot of games as well, you play in different competition, and these 3 players very, very important, you know, 3 of your best players, you know, so it's very difficult for the manager as well, so, and then the financial way, so you don't have you don't have to sign a lot of players to replace them in January transfer window. So what the manager did this year, it's absolutely outstanding. You know, watch your back.
Can I just say, I put the umbrella up. You all ignored me.
We're okay.
You all ignored me. I said, grab an umbrella.
We're okay.
It is a lovely spring evening, by the way. Oh, almost
We
got
were
a bit.
okay.
Oh, my nose is stuffed, isn't it?
We were okay.
So you know, it was very important for the manager to get everyone together. And I thought, you know, Ross Barkley coming back to the team after his injury, he's been outstanding. You know, he played in the weekend, he scored, and he was one of our best players. So what the manager did and what the team did this year is absolutely fantastic. It's very important now to finish the season, you know, in the high. 2 games before the international break, I always say that you have to finish well before the international break, because you got a lot of players going away with their national team, and so it's very important to get this confidence back before the players going away with their national team.
What if you say, we always say at the start of the season, if I could have said to you at the start of the season, on March the 19th, we'll be in the quarterfinals of Europa, we'll be 4th. How many people in here would have went, okay, I'll take that then?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have took your arm off.
And I mean, I'm being a little bit clever by saying it, because if we'd started the season, if we'd have started the season well and we hadn't hit a period where we had injuries, we'd have been 4 points ahead of Arsenal. If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
I know.
and that's never, and so there's a realism of every single team. Man City's had it, Liverpool's had it, Man United's had it, Chelsea are in it right now. You hit a spell in the league where you're like, nothing's happening here.
Sunderland, you watch Sunderland.
Sunderland's a great thing with Elmo, exactly, mate.
You know, the start of the season was so good, and then after the Christmas, you know, when they had a lot of players going away with in AFCON, and then, you know, some injuries, you know, especially Shaq, and the form went down a little bit, and then see where they are in the league now.
Yeah.
Started the season until November, December, they were 6th in the league. Now they are, you know, 12 or 13. So sometimes, you know, like Alan said, a lot of teams, they had that bad spell, you know, but it's very important to get out of that spell very quickly, because the end of the season is very important for the club to finish in the Champions League place.
And it sounds as though, sorry, Lee, I was going to say, it sounds as though I'm protecting the lads a little bit, because we've been in a position where at times, sometimes you try things and it doesn't happen, and you play all right and you get beat 2-1 and you think, well, I don't know where that came from. And that just happens sometimes. It genuinely does. Now, our form didn't dip really because of our players having bad form. We had a midfield that was taken out, and the manager had to, like, what was it? Square pegs, round holes?
Square round pegs.
Do you know what I mean? And that kind of upset our equilibrium a little bit. And Bogart's playing right back when he maybe wanted to play in the middle of the park, and David Luiz has only just come back in, etc. etc. So there's a couple of things where you go, all right, listen, everybody just calm down a little bit. We're in a really good position. We've got a manager who absolutely knows what he's doing. The manager knows what he's doing.
By the way, who's David Luiz?
David Luiz.
Who's David Luiz?
Oh, David Luiz, sorry. Douglas. Did I call him David?
I didn't notice that. Yeah.
We wanted to.
The old Chelsea.
We wanted to buy him in January as well. I'll say it again. So David Luiz and Douglas Luiz, they're brothers. So Douglas has come back in. David Luiz, it's in my head all the time. He was on the telly the other night, and he's got back to Brazil. Anyway, Douglas has come back in, and genuinely we have a manager that we all love and think he's brilliant. So let him do his job.
Yeah.
And sometimes it'll go for us, and sometimes it won't. But Elmo's quite right. This is a spell in the league now where we really want to take that step to make sure we finish as high up as we can. And the manager in that interview, when he was talking about David Luiz, incidentally, he said, 4th. We're 4th. He said it like 3 or 4 times to remind people we are in an unbelievably good position. But we still need to take that step forward to make sure that's exactly where we stay.
One of those injuries that has really impacted the midfield is John McGinn. And maybe some of us didn't realise the impact that he has. And then when we saw his name back in the squad last Thursday, I think every Villa fan was over the moon. And then to see him start on Sunday, how big an impact and how big an influence does he have on this team?
Listen, I think ever since John's put an Aston Villa shirt on, he's won the fans over. You know, he's a big character, isn't he? I think not just, you know, when he's on the football field. I think in the changing room, being in and around, and that's where sometimes, you know, fans don't understand, you know the mentality in the changing room. When you've got someone coming in, bouncing round as John does. And then when he goes on the football field and he shows that enthusiasm, that sometimes that bite that you need that gets everyone onto a level. Trust me, he's one. Well, and that's why he's a captain. He's one, if not our biggest player, and probably the biggest one we've left. You look at quality that he can bring into the team. You look at, his energy, his style of play. Sometimes when you need someone to really go and dig in and
what does that do for the other players? I was going to say, when you see him doing that.
Yeah, well, everybody reacts, because sometimes you need someone to go and do that to make everyone react and go, right, we all need to be doing that.
Yeah, whether it's even a tackle or an interception or reading the game.
And that's where I think that's what John brings, his overall sort of confidence, his personality, his style of play when he's on the football field. And yes, we have missed Kamara, who's been outstanding for us. We have missed Tielemans, who's been outstanding for us.
Are you staying there, or are you moving? I was trusting Lee.
We're okay.
But yeah, and that's the thing, Michelle, is that just to have that spark and that little bit of something different, who's coming in, the leader, most of all, being the captain, John McGinn. Yep. It gives everyone a buzz and a lift.
Do you know what it's like in the dressing room? We're all sitting in the dressing room, and you look over and you see John McGinn, and you think, well, I know what his standards are like.
Yep, standard same.
So I need to do the same. And John will go around every single player today, every single one, and just remind them about their jobs and tell them how big this game is for the football club.
Yeah.
And by the way, he's the captain of the team tonight. If you're captain of the team, you want to be in a winning team and you want to be a winning captain. He sets the standards, and John's standards, with the greatest respect to everybody else, can at times be bigger than everybody else's expectations. That's why he's a captain, and that's why he's so respected at the club by the players as well.
It's very important to get the captain back, especially someone like John McGinn, played alongside him, sharing the dressing room. I know his mentality very well. And I really liked his quote in the press conference yesterday. He said, we don't want to be remembered as a not bad team, We want to be remembered like, winning trophies and that. And this is the mentality of John. He wants to leave this club, as a legend. He wants to win trophies with the Aston Villa Football Club. He did a lot for this club. He came when the club was in the Championship, getting promoted and scoring Wembley, against Derby in the playoff final. And he wants to win something with the club. As a captain, he wants to lift that trophy, to be remembered forever as a Aston Villa captain winning a trophy. So his mentality, his spirit, his energy around the dressing room is very important for the football club.
Let's hear them from the captain and what he had to say yesterday in his pre-match presser at Bodymoor Heath.
It's a difficult first leg. We've got an opportunity at home to either keep the result or win. We're going to try and win the game. Try and score first, which is the objective in every game, but of course it's more important now to get a 2-goal deficit to then kick on and qualify for the quarter-finals. So we know it's an important game, probably slightly more important because of our recent results. So the dressing room knows the magnitude of the game. We don't want to be a maybe team. We don't want to be a team who they were not bad. We want something to show for it, and we know we've got an expectation, and we're one of the favourites to win the competition. We know that, but it's up to us to deliver performances and results that prove why. We're one of the favourites because of how we've played over the last few years, domestically and in Europe. And I think in certain stages we haven't managed ties properly. We haven't managed these games correctly, but what we've learned from them, we can use to our advantage and give ourselves the best possible chance to go one step further. You can't really approach it looking for a draw, no matter in what standard of football, what level of football. If you play for a draw, you get deeper and deeper, and the other team gets more control of the game, more of the ball. So we're looking to win the game. We obviously got into every game. We went into the first leg looking to win it, but Lille are very strong in second legs of ties. They were 1-0 down away to going into the away leg, in Belgrade, and won. So we know they're very astute. They've got a lot of experience, in European competition, the same way we do. They played Champions League, Conference League, Europa League, and with Giroud, Andre, Haraldson, all players we know very well. They know how to get through ties, and we need to be on our guard on Thursday.
You've all hung up your boots now, and when John McGinn says he wants something to show for it, that's, I guess, what you look back on in your career, the silverware, what you've won, those big moments.
Yeah, I think in particular, I think it's the whole point of putting your boots on and playing football. Is it you know, if you're playing for a football club that you love and you cherish, you always want to take something back when you finish, to look back. And that's what Almo's saying. You know, that's exactly what John McGinn brings, and exactly what he's alluding to there. He wants to win silverware. He doesn't want to be just known as being a decent team. You know, a decent setup. You know, they've done okay, or they've been there or thereabouts. He wants to win trophies. He wants to start putting Villa back on the map where it should be, and they should be. And he's dead right. You know, you can't be going into these games thinking that you're going to, you know, just go over the line with a 0-0 because we won away. We want to be winning games here. We want to be taking them games into the next game and finishing the season strongly. And that's where we do so, and we'll get rewarded for it. So, you know, that's what you want. That's what you want to hear from your captain. And trust me, that'll inspire a lot of the lads in the changing room going into this game.
These are the games, aren't they? The knockout games where it is so exciting for the fans. But as a player, he was saying the players in the dressing room know the magnitude of that. How do you handle that as a player?
Of course, yeah. When you play in the Champions League, especially against big teams like the likes of the Bayern Munich, you know, PSG, Juventus, and you had this experience, and you know this special nights is very important for the players, for the fans, for the football club, and they got that experience now. So they go out today and they know it's a really important game. And Lee is right, you know, you don't play for a draw at home, especially at Villa Park. We make, you know, Villa Park, this team makes Villa Park a very difficult place to come to for a long time. Maybe in the last few games wasn't the case, but make sure, you know, you're starting again tonight. Making Villa Park is a very difficult place to come to. So starting tonight, you have to start the game very, very well. You know, first 15-20 minutes, you have to just show up, and you're here for a very difficult game for Lille. Just, you know, get the fans out of their seats and make the fans, you know, exciting again, you know, about the European nights. This is what's the European nights all about, you know, just getting the fans excited. Make sure we start well tonight and score early goal, you know, makes it easier for everyone.
What were you expecting from Lille and their approach? Because from what I've read and what I've seen, they don't go too high. They like to defend, they like to counter, they like to play wide. Will that be their approach this evening? I mean, the onus is on them.
I think so. John mentioned three of the players who have got really good. Well, obviously Olivier Giroud is obviously everybody knows about him. He's come back. He's at the wrong end of his career, to be fair, but they still have experience. I think the last result just tells you everything you need to know. You know, they were steady away against Red Star, picked them off, and all of a sudden won the game 2-0. And you know, they're playing us in the next round. So I don't see them. We were just speaking briefly. I don't see them being like high as though they're going to press us like mad. I think counter-attacking football is what you're going to expect from Lille tonight, and that's where we'll have to be careful. But in terms of them, I still don't think they're anywhere near the team that we played a few years ago, and I think we're a much better team, and I think we can prove that in the first 20 odd minutes to make sure they don't really get a foothold in the game. But it'll be interesting, genuinely interesting, in terms of watching them, how they play, even body language in the first 20 minutes. But I think we can set the tone and keep them on the back foot. I really do. I mean, I know they're fifth or sixth in the league, I think. Fifth, maybe.
And a good result the weekend.
They beat Rennes.
They beat Rennes, who are only incidentally 2 points behind them, so they actually jumped above
They
Rennes.
got a big game on the weekend as well against Marseille.
Marseille are third. Away. So yeah, so listen, they've got their own things to think about, but they're still in this tie, genuinely, against Aston Villa, that I think we're a much better team, and I genuinely think we win tonight.
I think they'll come here and try and frustrate. I really do. I think they'll sit back, and as Al said, they'll try and utilise a counter-attack. I think they'll try and stay in the game for long periods. Personally, for me, I think that they'll try and get that goal, and if they get that goal, I think they'll sit on it. I really do. Which hopefully they don't. Hopefully we get two, and this tie's, you know, done and dusted. But I do think that they will be pragmatic. They will sit in and try and frustrate. They'll try and get probably the crowd on their side and try and frustrate them. So you have to remember, we're favourites for the competition. We're favourites for the Europa League, not just because of the manager, but because of the players we've got at this football club. Now they know that. So I think in terms of even that, their manager, he'll be saying to them, look, just get this a big noisy crowd. We can take the sting out of them. Let's make the game as dull as we possibly can for 20-25 minutes, and then maybe try and pick them off when Villa look as though we're sending players forward, trying to take a chance. But I think
I go back to the thing. We're a better team. We're a better squad. I think we have better technical ability players, and I think that should be enough to make sure we're in the quarters.
I agree with Alan, about, we are a better team, and they know that. They come in here, they know Aston Villa are better than them in all aspects, in the game. But it's something in football now, some teams, a lot of teams now around, not just in the Premier League, in Europe as well. They know that they're playing against a better team. What they do is just sit back, 10 players behind the ball, and then they just use in the counter-attack and the set pieces. You see the set pieces, the amount of set pieces this season is absolutely crazy, not just in the Premier League, in all Europe, you see in the Champions League as well. So this team will come here, they're just trying to frustrate us, make it longer for us, defend it well, and then they just use the counter-attack and the set pieces. They maybe trying to score a goal from the set piece, but we have to be focused on that. Any set piece, you have to be focused, because this is the only way they can win the game here at Villa Park.
And there's another thing about European nights. I mean, you come to play on a Saturday or a Sunday in a domestic and you get yourself up for the game. There is a little sprinkle of gold dust that happens for European. There really is. You're sitting tying your boots, giving it whole of Europe. The whole of Europe's watching you. The whole of Europe. Chance to score, chance to play well, be better than my opposition. Loads of different things are going through your head at the moment, and not only the way John was talking about, we're favourites. Yeah. So there's a bit of a marker on our.
It's completely different. I mean, honestly, it really is, and it's easy to stand here and say, the European nights are completely different to domestic. They are. There's something special, and as Al
especially
said,
here at Villa Park,
there's a sprinkle of dust on them that makes them feel different, and that's the atmosphere here. The atmosphere will set the tone here tonight, and if that starts off brightly, which I think it will, I think that will set the tone on the field. And like I said, we go and get that first goal, I just feel that it could be a comfortable night, but it's not going to be an easy game.
All right, well, let's have a look at the team news. We'll show you the visitors first before we move on to Villa. And this is the Lille starting 11. They've made 4 changes from that game against Rennes at the weekend. But, of course, you'll recognise a few names in there. And Olivier Giroud captains the side. And he is once again leading the line. Any thoughts on that, Alan? Just you're hearing at it?
I see that Heraldson's not playing, and I thought he's a pretty good player. Meunier, obviously we know about Nabil Bentaleb. He's had Premier Division experience.
Newcastle,
exactly. Korea, the boy Felix Korea's quite a good player. He's quite a technically gifted player. But I mean, let's face it, out with Meunier, Bentaleb and Giroud, do you know much more about a lot of them?
Then you're struggling for familiarity.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, having said that, you have to then take into consideration how well they're doing in Liga, how well they're doing at the moment, and Elmo's already told us they have a big game at the weekend against Marseille, and they could actually try and push themselves into 4th, etc., to go of the teams above them. But nevertheless, I'll take our squad against that squad every day.
Let's have a look at Villa then, and our starting 11 this evening, and a number of changes you can see there. Ian Maatsen comes in for Luca Digne. Lindelof is in for Konza. Douglas Luiz coming in for Ross Barkley. Jadon Sancho starts instead of Emi Buendia. Ollie Watkins is on the bench, which means Tammy Abraham starts for his 50th Villa appearance. So that is the starting 11 tonight. Lee, any surprises in there for you? Are you surprised maybe about Tammy?
Yes and no. I think the games are coming thick and fast now, Michelle, aren't they? And that, we've just had the game against Manchester United, which was a tough game the weekend. We've got today that I think the manager trusts everyone that he's got available in his squad, and that's why he can make them changes. And we've seen it throughout the season. That's what's probably give us success, I feel, is that he's been able to rest the likes of Ollie Watkins. He's been able to take Buendia out of the team. Mings has been in and out the side, but I think he trusts every single player that that comes in and fills
the void.
To be
fair to Victor Lindelof, he's been absolutely fantastic. Lindelof, he really has. He's played ever so well as a centre-back, and I don't think he's let anybody down. In fact, I think he was probably for 2 or 3 weeks one of our best players. I don't have a problem with Tammy coming in, as long as you say to Ollie Watkins, you better get yourself warmed up, because we'll be needing you after 60 minutes or so. So it's a good opportunity. Maatsen likes to get forward. I'm quite happy with him on the left-hand side. And even looking at that their manager's going through every single player and saying you need to be careful with this, you need to be careful with that, you need to be careful with this, because they can hurt us, and with a bit of luck we will if we start
Let's
the game
hope
properly.
we're not needing Ollie after 60 minutes.
Well, yeah. I'm just saying, if I was Ollie Watkins, I'd be like, right, boss, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. Let's. You'd be looking over, giving it any chance. Let's go. Come on.
It's a massive opportunity for Tammy tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really big opportunity for Tammy, because lots of fans have almost said, you know, why is he not starting Tammy? Why is he not starting Tammy? Because, you know, sometimes, like we said, Ollie's come under that little bit of criticism. So this is a real big evening for him to really show that he's capable of leading the line. This is a little opportunity for him to stamp his authority to the manager and say, I'm ready, I want to go, I want to be playing, which they all want to be doing. But I think playing through that forward line at this moment in time, and you know, given the opportunity that Ollie scored in the previous fixture, this is massive for him tonight.
Defensively, they got to deal with Olivier Giroud. How do you think Torres and Lindelof will match up to that?
Yeah, very experienced. You know, Lindelof, like Alan said, every time he's been called up, he's been absolutely outstanding. He's very experienced. He's been there in Europe before with his previous clubs. You know, he got that experience. Pau Torres played the first leg, and he knows he's very important, you know, to dealing with Giroud. You know what he's like. He's a big, harmful guy. You know, he likes to just fight and go for a fight. So Lindelof can deal with that. As expected, you know, rotation, and especially when you play in different competition, rotation is been there. Tammy is coming to the team, is big opportunity for him. There's no better night here under the lights of Villa Park, you know, to show that just the fans is being calling with him for him to start. So it's a big opportunity for him. Madsen, as expected, always starts, you know, games at Villa Park. The manager likes him to go forward, and then Douglas has been outstanding in the first leg. Ross Barkley, you know, for a reason, because he's not in Europa League squad, so he's resting tonight. So yeah, it's a very good team, you know, as expected as well. John McGinn started. It's very important for the team. The captain, the spirit, the energy he's bringing to the. Jadon Sancho has been absolutely outstanding. You know, maybe last few games because he was out injured and that didn't play against Man United because he wasn't available to play against his parent club. So all around, it's a good team to start with. So all the players, you know, starting tonight, they need to take the opportunity, you know. Of course, we got a big game against West Ham on the weekend, but this is very important for us to get the job done tonight first.
For Unai Emery, then, that first leg victory against Lille was his 100th win as Villa boss.
Nice.
You'll see behind you.
The fastest.
Before everyone sat down, there was 100 Emery sort of signs. You'll see.
It's going to be revealed tonight for him.
Yeah, that'll be revealed just before kickoff. That's going to look spectacular.
Make sure you take a picture, Alan.
Yeah. I've asked David Luiz to take one.
It's superb.
It's good, doesn't
looks
it?
absolutely fantastic. I mean, his win percentage, the way he's done it, yes, results have dipped ever so slightly recently, but to take the club from where it was when he took over to, let's be honest, what people have started expecting now says it all about the job he's done, Lee.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I can't talk highly enough of him. He's, you know, we've got one of the best managers around for me. I really do say that, and I mean it, because I think that, as you said, what he has done since he's come into the club, you know, he's pretty much the same squad. You know, he inherited a squad that, you know, he had to work with, deal with, and he did, and he got the best out of them. And then, you know, he's added little bits to this squad that have been, I feel, you know, taken us to that next level, and that's where we've ended up playing in Europe. We've ended up playing in Champions League. We're playing in Europa League tonight. You know, I think that speaks volumes of where he wants to be and what he wants to achieve as a manager, because he's a top manager. You know, he wants more out of his team. He wants more out of the squad. He wants more out of this football club. So I think anything or anyone that says that he isn't one of the best managers around and hasn't done an unbelievable job here, he's talking nonsense. He has done a remarkable job, and as he said, we're sitting fourth in the table and we're in Europe tonight. That just shows how well he's done as a manager.
There's been record-breaking winning runs. They're just smiling Castilian Petrovs walking past, not just smiling at random people. And that stat there, hey Stillian, the fastest Villa boss to register a century of wins, and there's not been easy games in there. We're talking about Premier League, we're talking about European football, Elmo.
Everyone knows, how good he is as a manager, and we were so lucky to get him because he was in the other club, and we managed to get him. And fair play to the owners, did very well to get a manager like him. So when he first came, we were 16 in the league, and then in the same season, you qualified for the European football. This was absolutely outstanding from him, and everyone was saying, Villa was like, that season, was like overachieved, but the way he handled himself as a manager, as the team around him, we had, Damian around him and his own stuff, and he brought a lot of stuff with him. So, the owners give him the chance to get what he wants for the players, and for a transfer and that, and they absolutely built a fantastic team. And the players he improved for the team. I mean, like the players I played with them, Konsa, Tyrone, John McGinn, Ollie Watkins. You see the standard they went from, and now where they are. Morgan Rogers, when we bought him from Middlesbrough, he didn't start for first 10 games, and then after that he was one of the best players in England. He's now with the English team. So the way he handled himself as a manager and improved everyone as a team, and the fans as well. The fans adore him as a manager. So to get 100 win for this football club, the fastest manager to do it, it will be written in the history of this football club. So it's now, another demand, and he's a demanding manager. Another demand for himself as a manager and for the team, to get another European football next season, which is going to be the Champions League, hopefully for the club. And this season, he got a demand, to win this European League again. He won it 4 times, before, and he's the record, manager, holding the record manager for that. So he needs to go another step, to win it for the first time. So hopefully we can win it this year and we can bring a trophy for the football club.
Yeah, I mean, that would cap off what's so far been an amazing tenure. Lee, you know some of the players, you speak to them. Elmo talks about standards there. How does he go about setting those standards? Because it's the difference, I guess, between a good manager and a great manager. How is that translated, and how is you players? Why do players listen to him and maybe they wouldn't listen to someone else, or someone else wouldn't have as much as an impact?
I think when I speak to the likes of John McGinn and I think it's his demands, it's his attention to detail.
He's obsessed, isn't he? I don't mean that in a bad way.
Yeah, I mean, I've been up the training ground a few times with Alan. I've overlooked some of the training sessions, and I mean, he's intense. He wants to get the best. He wants to figure out where he can win games. He wants a plan B, a plan C. He wants to try and beat and win everything. That's simple as that. The top managers want to find solutions where they're going to take the club forward. That's what he's done, and that's what he's demanded out of his players that he's got in the changing room. And let's be quite honest, it's not easy to get every single player on side. I think what he's done, but I think particularly the last few seasons, is that he's utilised his whole squad. I said about having trust, about changing the team, having players that come in for big competitions, not just for the Carabao Cup, because people think it's not a great competition for certain reasons, or the FA Cup. He's not shy on changing things around, and that's where I think, because he works with his players day to day and he wants to improve them, he wants to get. I almost said, when he first come in, I mean, the players were flat on the feet. They were lower than a snake's belly. There was no confidence. He put confidence in them. He made them believe. He made them start performing. And that's what he's got in that changing room. You only need to look at his movement and his demeanour on the sidelines. He is a winner, and he wants to drill that into his squad. And that's why we've been successful since he's took over.
I think everybody who's not at Aston Villa Football Club look at the manager and go, he's made every single player better. He's made every single player know the position, and he's moved them 2 yards because he doesn't want them standing here, he wants them standing there.
How is he that specific? Is this just a great football mind?
Well, because if you think sometimes average players dream a bit in games, and that's how mistakes are made, or somebody gets behind you, or you're caught ball watching and somebody makes a run behind you. I think he's made everybody aware. But I think the biggest thing is that everybody thinks that Unai Emery has made every single, not just 10 players, every single player, because it's a squad game, better than they were before. And Elmo's right, he was 16 and you're talking about being, the snake's belly, and everybody was low in confidence, etc. And he's changed the attitude of the whole club. And I'm talking about the chef, I'm talking about the people that work in the conference areas. I'm talking about I'm talking about everybody. There's nobody at Aston Villa comes to Aston Villa now and thinks, I wonder if we'll win today. There is a confidence within this football club that Unai Emery has instilled through the players and into the club. There is absolutely no question about it. And we've been lucky to play at other football clubs, and some of that's not the case. Unai Emery has come into Aston Villa when they were all over the place at the time, and he has changed the whole of the football club. I'll guarantee he has. And the attitude of everybody is different than it was a year and a half ago.
Do you know what's really impressive? And I mean it. I mean tactically, what he has tweaked and changed over season after season. I've been here when it was one of the first seasons he came in, and we were playing a ridiculously high line. And do you know what? It was successful. Everyone was talking. Look at Aston Villa. Yeah. And then there was changing the centre. It changed the centre half. Everyone is doing and literally singing off that same hymn sheet that he's producing for everyone. And that's why you understand that when you get that squad of players into a situation where everyone's doing it and everyone's believing and everyone's ready to come on and play a part of this, that's where success, it's in the changing room, it is, and that's where it comes, and it gets produced on this fantastic surface here at Villa Park and on all the other stadiums around, and that's what I love about Unai Emery. He has got so many different solutions, and that's why he is a top manager, and that's why them players know and listen to him.
And the lads know how successful he's been. He was successful in Spain, he's been successful in this competition, you know, he's managed Arsenal, he's been all over the place, and by the way, so what, we got 20 teams in this league, there's probably 4 managers that are guaranteed not to lose their jobs, and there's some above us that are under pressure. We've gone through a bit of a tough time, and there's not many Man United, I'm talking about Man United, when we went to Man United after, they're like, oh come on, and I'm like, hey, we have a manager that knows what she's doing. We have a man, don't worry about that. I mean, okay, we're all disappointed after the result, but I'm like, we've got a couple of big games coming up, and he'll have the opportunity to make sure everybody knows exactly their job, and that's why he's the top manager, and that's why he's changed the attitude at the football club.
Let's get your predictions ahead of tonight then, Elmo. How do you see this one going?
I'm going 2-0, Tommy and John McGinn.
That's succinct. There we are. It's factual. I like it.
He said 3-0 to Lille to me earlier on.
I'm going 2-0, you know.
So. Why do you think Tammy might get his chance tonight? I mean, obviously he's starting.
I thought,
suit him.
I thought, you know, the games he played, he was so good. You know, got a couple of goals on him. He got confidence. He wants to show the manager that he's good enough to start games. You know, so the manager gives him a chance tonight against, you know, Lille and European nights at Villa Park. You know, the fans as well give him confidence. The players around him, Sancho, John, Morgan, all of them. You know, a good service tonight. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see him tonight. So hopefully he can score a goal tonight to give himself a confidence with John McGinn as well.
Okay, I like that.
I'm going to go 2-0 as well, but I was going to go McGinn, but I'm going to go different to Almo just for something different. I'm going to go Tammy to score as well. I feel that, you know, he'll be hungry and he'll want to prove a point. I'm going to go Morgan Rogers. I think this is where I think
he's due.
He's due a goal. I think we're due a little reset button here tonight. I really do, and I think this could be a little bit of a turning point in the business end and the back end of the season for us, and that's why I think we're going to start seeing some performances, some big performances and big goals from Tammy, and I'm going to say Morgan.
Hold fire with yours, just to bring you up to date with some of the Europa League scores that are happening right now, and I did just have them and I've lost them. Nottingham Forest beating, I think they're beating Midtjylland 2-1, but it's just gone off my screen.
It's 2-2 on aggregate.
2-2 aggregate.
Yeah.
That'll be 2-2 on aggregate. And that's 69 minutes in. Lyon are 1-0 down to Celta Vigo, which means the aggregate score there is 2-1. Celta Vigo. I will keep across these.
We'll play one of them next year.
Yeah, so that's what's going on across Europa League at the moment. Oh, Freiburg beating Genk by aggregate 4-2 score. Go on then, Alan, give us your...
Yeah, I'm going to go with the guys. I would like to see us get a glut of goals like some of the home teams have done in the last Tuesday, Wednesday Champions League games, but I think of all the players we've spoken about, I think this is a big night for Jadon Sancho. You know, he's come from a big club. He's only on loan. He has an opportunity to play a real part at this football club, and I know that Elmo said he'd been really good. I wanted to see him be a lot better than just really good. You know, he has the quality. You know, I want to see him be direct, and if he doesn't get an assist tonight, I'll be really disappointed, genuinely, because this is a night set up for Jadon Sancho in those wider areas, coming a bit deep, playing the ball into the edge of the box, following it, and maybe even gets a goal. But I think it's a big night for him. I want him to play. If he plays well on the right-hand side, I think that should look after quite a lot of the other stuff. So I'll go 2-0. I'll go for Morgan to score, and maybe Jadon might get one as well.
Okay, well, I like the positivity. As you can hear, some of the Lille goalies coming out to warm up now. Our goalies are really warming up down the other end. Right, that's it from us lot then for pre-match. We're getting our money's worth out of you today because you're going to do some co-coms. So if you love the sound of Alan McAnally's
David
voice.
Luiz now in there, yeah?
David Douglas, who?
Is Douglas Luiz playing, by the way?
David.
You've saved me by my round.
Yeah, your round
square.
peg.
That's right. I'll talk you through what that means in the game.
I know.
Guys, thank you for your company.
You're welcome.
We will enjoy your voice on commentary with Mark Regan. They'll be on commentary on Villa TV in just a bit. We'll see you later.